So, I have a story time on why it's not good to go back to or reminisce about a crush or an old flame, why you just leave that in the past. Okay, so she says, "Good evening, Burb." She says, "Normally I'd flesh out my stories, but I'll try to keep this one as straight to the point as possible. Last night I went out with a former crush I'll call Jay, and it was complete nightmare fuel. To be honest, I should have known something was off with him from our first rendezvous, but since he expressed going through the death of a loved one recently, I offered to show him some grace when it came to things like showing up late and being rude to me by having phone calls with his friends while we were in the restaurant and throughout the night. Last night the same thing happened. He showed up late, was making random phone calls to his friends, and was just being overall rude. What stood out to me was his obvious drinking problem and the problems it managed to cause for me. Jay will drink before driving, drink while at whatever spot we're at, drink off a whole bottle of Don Julio before pouring a small glass of wine as a nightcap. I can't stress this enough. His drinking is really out of control. Bear in mind, this is our second time going out together. He did not act this reckless the first time around. He was just rude. I wasn't aware of how he could act because we're not in the same social circles, and we kept losing contact with one another over the years. We've known each other since we were in elementary school. We're both 32 now. Aside from the drunk driving dilemma, Jay caused me to call out of work today, and I'm still infuriated about it. When we made plans a week in advance to see each other, I told him I had work the following day. As a matter of fact, I brought it to his attention that I was working a double, so I wouldn't be able to stay out for too long. Instead of taking me home, he took me to his apartment and crashed out, even though I kept waking him up to plead with him to take me home so that I could rest up and get ready for work soon. I had an aim to leave by 4 or 5 a.m., the latest, but Jay didn't look for a Lyft driver until around 6 a.m. when there is an early morning rush hour for drivers. It pissed me off at how inconsiderate he was and how he tried to shift all of the blame on me. He tried to make it sound like I just went along with the change in our plans and had the audacity to say I should have brought my uniform with me. Why the hell would I bring my uniform if it was never discussed that I'd be spending the night? If anyone chooses to make changes to plans they agreed on, shouldn't the person who changed the plans see to it that the person that they're with is able to get home at a decent time to make it to make it to work on time and to be able to handle whatever they need to handle for their kid? Jay even had the audacity to compare our situation to the unpredictability of the stock market. Men's ability to dodge accountability will never cease to amaze me. Just when I think I've seen it all and they couldn't possibly say or do anything more stupid, someone just has to take it as a personal challenge to outdo the last dummy. Needless to say, I've learned quite a few life lessons in a short amount of time. I've learned that if you have a crush on someone that lasts several years, there's a reason why things never happen between you and that individual. Don't romanticize them. Accept the reality of them instead. I also learned that if someone shows you the slightest bit of inconsideration, nip it in the bud by not giving them another chance. This is where we say hashtag clock it and block it. Hashtag clock it and block it. Clock the inconsiderateness, clock the disrespect, and then block that person. Hashtag clock it and block it. All right, so nip it in the bud by not giving them another chance. You're not being hard on them. You're just aware of your worth and not letting anyone play with you or your precious time. I'm never going out with him again after he put my life in jeopardy. Not to mention, he affected my pockets during a crucial time in life where every penny matters now more than ever before. Some behaviors are simply unforgivable, and I'm just glad I made it out okay before feelings got deeper and I ended up in another messy, traumatic situationship. As much baggage as men claim women bring to relationships, I'm starting to understand it's actually them that bring the chaos and unrest and all the ills of the world into their interactions with women. So this man is 32 years old and he is drinking like this to the point where he's drinking before driving. He's drinking at whatever spot they go to, drinking off a whole bottle of Don Julio. This person is 32. Imagine what his insides look like. This person is doing the whole avoidant situation. He is masking something with this alcohol. And we've talked about this. Whatever he's masking is an issue. And then he's avoiding her also by taking phone calls with his friends. I don't know what the purpose is in asking someone out on a date and then avoiding interacting with them by being on the phone. And what's the point in asking someone to go on a date and then being rude to them while on the date? Like, what are these people even thinking? Do they actually like women, or is this just something that you do so that you can have something to talk about with their boys? It's very odd to me, but I'm glad that she saw it. And yes, it did take 2 dates. It took 2 days for her to understand that he is being rude and doing this behavior that's disrespectful. But that's 2 dates. That did cost her some money. But we're talking about it now so that we can use this as role playing situations so that you don't do this. Don't go back to a crush. Don't push away those feelings of, okay, maybe he's just having a bad day. Clock it and block it. Is he being rude? Is he putting forth his best behavior? The first date should be an audition to get the second date. But if it was a terrible first date, why are you even giving them a second date? So we are going to continue to talk about this repressed behavior, avoidant behavior, these types of things, the projection that men do. We're going to clock this when we start talking about these story times so that you can see it when you're interacting with other people as well. All right. Let me know if you have any story times that you want to share. Go ahead. Let's join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So I'm outside on my balcony and I have a bonus to give to y'all that has absolutely nothing to do with this story time. But I think story times are a better way for me to introduce political posts because the political posts and the news posts don't always go. So here is a bonus video that I snagged off of YouTube. I'm sorry, off of TikTok. Enjoy. Let me know what you think about this one.
Wow, we just uncovered something in JD Vance's past that not only will embarrass him, but also send Donald Trump through the roof. I cannot believe the media has not been talking about this or Donald Trump's vetters. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about it. In 2017, JD Vance wrote what could only be described as a love letter to Barack Obama. Okay, this was an editorial called Barack Obama and Me. Okay, so I'm going to read exactly what he says. He writes, "It is one of the great failures of recent political history that the Republican Party was too often unable to disconnect legitimate political disagreements from the fact that Barack Obama himself is an admirable man." So he continues, "For a pivotal time in my life, Barack Obama gave me hope that a boy who grew up like me could still achieve the most important of my dreams. For that, I'll miss him and the example he set." Now, I don't have to remind you that Donald Trump absolutely loathes President Obama with a passion. And here in 2017, the whole purpose of this article to say that the Republican Party wasn't treating Barack Obama fairly is really speaking to what Donald Trump did during the 2016 election with the whole birther fiasco. Let me know if you agree that JD Vance should never be vice president and that he is a complete and utter political flip-flopper hypocrite.